KMC here. It's so good to be back in the studio, which now is in my closet. So yes, I have actually returned to the closet. I just wanted to let you all know that today I have a great chat for you all to listen to and look at. It's with my dear friend, Lucia Spina. Lucia and I met back in the 90s doing some community theater. I directed her, and she has since gone on to do several Broadway shows, has had a great cabaret presence. She's currently right now performing at 54 Below in New York at the Sondheim Sunday nights. We're going to talk about that. And also, she currently right now is understudying three or four roles in the musical Into the Woods, and she's gotten to go on already. So it's kind of exciting. So you're not going to want to miss this. She's a wonderful lady. Everyone to please welcome my friend, Lucia. Hey, sweetie.
Hi, honey. How are you?
I'm just, as you can see, I'm in the closet, right? So
A place I thought you had left decades ago.
and
So yes.
but this is where I reside now when I do my chats. It's like my new studio. I think of it kind of almost like it's my dressing room, and
Totally.
it's a little messy. But right now, this is what we're going to have for this
Got to
chat.
work with what you got.
Yeah. So my home office has moved into this huge walk-in closet that I have. So half of my office that I'm looking at right here is office, and then back there is closed. So it's
Wow.
it's nice.
Okay.
I can physically walk in here. It feels like I'm actually going to an office, as opposed to just rolling out of bed and sitting at the desk, which is what I was doing. So
Yeah.
but welcome, sweetheart. You
Thank
have been so busy, and we're going to talk about that. First,
Yes.
I want everyone to know that, Lucia and I met in when? 19 what?
1995.
Oh, I was so young. That means
1994,
you're,
1995.
you're a baby girl.
1994. 1994. The show Godspell happened in 1995. But we auditioned and started rehearsals in 94. Yes.
So Lucia and I go back several years with regard to community theater, and I directed her. I think that's the first time I met you. Is that right?
Yes, it was Godspell. Did you direct it or did Mark?
No, I did.
You did. Okay,
I
great.
did.
Mark did the set design. Yes.
Yeah, well, of course. The
Of course.
the beauty of all that, and as I say, with that community theater background that we both had, you started out so young and so strong. I mean, you were powerhouse at, was it 16? Were you 16 then, or what? I don't.
I was 19 when I
Okay.
auditioned in 1994.
Well, but
Or 12,
well,
whatever you want to say.
but then you went on through that community theater circuit, and
Mhm.
Lucia just was doing show after show after show, and just being brilliant in all of them. And then when did the cabaret stuff start for you? When did you hone in on that?
Well, after Godspell, we did Annie, and then that summer I was nannying for Emily and Mark,
That's right.
and spent a lot of time in the basement with the kids with their toys. And then Adele had this huge CD collection, and you guys have been talking about Kim's sister,
Karen
and
Mason.
I found all of Karen Mason, yep,
Karen Mason.
and found all of Karen's CDs, and I was like, who is this woman? This voice is everything. And I mean, I'd heard you guys speak about her. And you told me that she had done Broadway stuff, but always this huge cabaret person. So you guys are the first people to for me to know about cabaret. I didn't know anything about that world or that culture or anything. So that was kind of like, I listened to her Not So Simply Broadway album, and I was like, oh my God, if this is what cabaret is, this is what I want to do. And I want to sound like this woman. I want to do the things that she did. And I've told her this in person now. I've embarrassed myself in person, but it's okay. We've done things together now. Yeah, so then I think it was like 2001 by the time I got my first cabaret show together. Like I had to listen to all the CDs and find out all the other people and
Yeah.
meet somebody who I wanted to work with, and bada boom, there we went.
And so that really took off for you. When did New York happen for you, sweetie? When did you actually do that?
I moved here in the fall of 2006. I had been doing Spelling Bee in Chicago prior to that. And before I auditioned for Spelling Bee, I had made a promise to my agent to move to New York. And then Spelling Bee, came up and auditioned, and I got it. And he's like, well, you should take this and, put off moving to New York. And he made me promise to move to New York after the first 6 months. And I did. And when they were having auditions to replace me and a few other people in the cast, I guess it was brought up that Lisa Howard was going to be taking some dates off soon to do some concerts and things. And my name came up in the mix. And they were like, how about Lucia? She knows the role and we have her costumes. And James Lapine said, yes. Or so I've been told. So that's how I got my Broadway debut. So I was already...
Yeah, we're sticking with that story. I like it.
Yeah. So I moved to New York, and like maybe a week after I got into town, 2 weeks after I got in town, I made my Broadway debut. So it was crazy.
I mean, come on.
And I'm on my sixth now. I'm on my sixth show now with Into the Woods. So
oh my God.
That's so crazy. Yeah.
So let's talk about the early Broadway years for you. What shows did you do? I know most of this, but I want you to tell these listeners.
Yes. So 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee was my first Broadway show.
How long did you do that?
And then I only did it for like 2.5 weeks, 19 shows, something like that. And then I think the next one I did was Les Miserables. Oh, and I did that for about the last 6 months of the first revival. And then...
And you were Jean Valjean in that, right?
Yes. Yes. The first female Jean Valjean. Yes. I stole a little bread and a box of tampons. And then I did... was Legally Blonde.
Oh, yeah.
And then I did the last 3 months of that run. And then...
Did you close that? Did you close that show?
I did. My first day on was with the girl who'd won the reality show, Bailey Hanks. So I did the last 3 months of that. And then I filled in at South Pacific at Lincoln Center for a few weeks while someone had some surgery. And then had a few years until I did Kinky Boots. And this is the first time I've been on Broadway since Kinky Boots in 2013. So some regional work, but the past several years it's been more film and TV stuff. So Into the Woods marks my return.
Well,
to
you
Broadway.
know what?
Nearly 9 years.
Yeah. Well, let's jump to this incredible opportunity for my dear friend Lucia, who, when I heard this, of course, I wet myself and this is crazy, right? So my little Lucia is doing Into the Woods on Broadway right now. Can you tell us how you got involved in it? And then let's talk about performances so far.
Well, they did a run of this show. It was with Encores at City Center as part of their Encore series. And it was so well received that a couple of weeks after they announced a Broadway run. So they only had 2 understudies for Encore, since it's only like a 2-3 week, commitment. Yeah. So when they moved to Broadway, they decided to add understudies. So nobody in the show is an internal understudy. Everybody only plays their role. And then there are 9 understudies. And we each cover 3 to 4 roles each.
Well, tell us who you are covering in that show.
I cover Jack's mom, Cinderella's stepmother, or mostly just known as stepmother. Then the Annie Golden track, which is Cinderella's mother, Granny, and the Giant, and the Witch. I also cover. Yeah, and how I got it. So like very end of May or very top of June, got an audition for it, and I had to submit like some songs of me doing Sondheim clips, and it could be I could make videos or I could pull footage from previous stuff. And since I've been involved in Sondheim Unplugged since for so many years, since 2011, they've started to live stream it this past year. So I already had clips ready to go.
That's great.
So I literally just pulled them off my computer, put them in a tape, sent it off. I got an offer on June 3rd. I started
like an audition
rehearsals on June 6th.
You just said that it's like an audition? Wow.
That was the audition process for this. So I received the offer on June 3rd, and I started rehearsals on June 6th. And everything was directly from tape. There were no callbacks, nothing. Which, the time of COVID, this is how things have been going. It's usually not ideal for theater, but
right.
Worked out this time. But yeah, so that's how it was. It was an unconventional process this time around.
So when you're doing something like that, like what you're doing is very unique, I think. I mean, how long was the show supposed to run originally?
Only 2 weeks at Encore Sioux City Center. Then when they moved it to Broadway, we had an 8-week run. And last week we just announced another 8-week extension. So we're going through October 16th or something at this point.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
Now, because you have so many roles that you are doing, and knowing the show the way I do and having done it, is this a full-fledged production? Are we talking sets, costumes, choreography? I mean,
well, in Into the Woods, there's minimal choreography. It's more like, informed movement. It's a not necessarily a dancey show, but
if you're playing so-and-so, if you're playing so-and-so today, and then at night you go on as someone else too, how do you remember where to go and the steps, etc.? I mean, I figured the words are all fine, but
the lyrics, I had a head start on because I know the score so well. The book, I, was a fan of, but I've never done this show, so I didn't have any of that committed to memory. The movement is minimal, so that's easy on my brain. And everybody learns things differently, and it's a very individual process. But I try to. There's some stuff that for this show that everybody sings, all the group numbers, for much everybody participates in the group numbers. So I just made sure like those lyrics and music were first, and then I kind of went through and took one role at a time. So I started with Jack's mom, then I did stepmother and Annie's track and Witch, and I'm still a little shaky on the Witch, but
have you done it?
I'm not first in line. No, I'm not first in line for that one. But we have understudy rehearsals, and I'm not first in line for Witch. But for the other three, I'm first in line for those. So it's this time I decided to do everything on my iPad, because when you get up in rehearsal and you have this big, huge like binder, and everything's marked up, it's so cumbersome and it's so heavy, and I'm middle-aged, I'm back, I have things, so I did it that way, and it was pretty successful. And then I was able to create separate scripts for each of my characters, but they were just on my little iPad, which is nice. But the first time I went on was for Jack's mom. It was the last week of previews, and I knew like maybe an hour before the show, and I had never been rehearsed for it.
At all?
Had learned stuff on my own. We'd had a couple small, understudy rehearsals, but the majority of rehearsals, like 99.9% of rehearsals, were all to the new people who were joining the previous cast, the onstage cast, and to get them up and running. So, understudies are not really the priority at that point, which is understandable. So I had my iPad queued up with my Jack's mom script, and the associate choreographer, Matt Steffens, came up to me. He's like, okay, I have my book. I have your book. I'm going to follow you around everywhere backstage. So we'd walk upstairs, go to the stage. Okay, stage left. You're going to enter on this thing. You're going to go to this number. You're going to do this. I'll meet you on the other side of the stage. And every time I came off stage, there was Mac going like, great job. This time you're going to do this, 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 this. You have 10 minutes now. Would you like to pee? You have time to, do you want to sit? What do you want to do? And then I went on for her again the next day, and a couple of friends came, and I was sitting at dinner with them, and we had just placed our food order, and my stage manager called and was like, so Amy's back, but we'd like you to go on for the stepmother tonight. I was like, okay, I'll be there when I finish my meal. And so went on for that role without any rehearsal at all.
Is that again with the gentleman telling you where to go, what to do type thing?
Matt was there again. He followed me around again. And that role has a little bit less to do. So that was easier, but they hadn't quite gotten all of my costumes together yet. So I did it with a pair of shoes that were a size and a half too small, but were the most secure and safe option. By intermission, I was like, oh, hell no. And I told this wonderful guy in wardrobe, Joseph, I said to him, I'm like, I have to take these off. I will wear Jack's mom's boots if I have to, but I cannot wear these anymore for the second act. I could barely walk. He was like, no problem. He found a pair of shoes that Pippa had worn in rehearsal. So they were gold, but they literally fit me like a glove. So as Cinderella's stepmother, I had my Cinderella moment of new shoes, and I put them on. I almost cried because they fit so well. And then the next 3 days I had Miss Piggy feet, and my right knee hated me. But then when I went on for a stepmother a week ago Sunday, I had my own shoes that fit me perfectly, and it was far more enjoyable.
Yeah,
so,
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure. So,
there's a lot of people in the cast, and then there's 9 understudies, and we all have 3 to 4 roles. So it's a lot of costumes to prep, and you're in preview, just still working on stage people and stuff too. So it's just kind of the nature of the game.
I can imagine that the nerves and the anxiety of just doing it, because you've been doing it,
Yeah, right. With Kinky Boots, I was a swing for that. So that's an offstage cover who understudies all ensemble tracks. And so we are understudies because everybody for this show, we're offstage understudies because everybody, we cover our principal tracks. So I had been thrown into the fire many times in the past with Kinky Boots, even though it was several years ago. So I already knew kind of what that was going to be. And yes, there's always anxiety, and what I've learned in the past several years is anxiety and excitement are physiologically the exact same thing in your body. And so you can frame it whichever way you want. You can say, oh, I'm anxious and worry about it. You can say, oh, I'm excited and embrace it. So that's always the battle. But I knew I had time to go off stage. Like I was like, these 3 lines, okay, great. Spit them out and go out and learn my next scene, or review it. So I knew I had that option, which made it a lot easier this time. I'd had like almost a decade in between that and my last offstage, covering role to get over it and myself. I knew what was coming up. I knew what I would have to do, but our union, I didn't have to go on. Like legally, I did not have to go on because I didn't have a full rehearsal for it. And, but I wanted to because I knew I could. I felt safe and okay doing it. So I did. But I could have said no. And then about 20 minutes before the show, the first time I went on, I was like, wait, I have Xanax with me. Take a little bit of Xanax, Lucia. And I did. And I wish I had done it like as soon as I had gotten called, because then it would have just taken a little bit of the edge off, even like the excitement edge. Yes. Because I knew I would get through, and I knew I would be pretty damn successful. But this show is like being at a rock concert. So, the lights go down and David Patrick Kelly's voice starts, oh, welcome to St. James Theater. And everybody goes, wah! And screams and blah, 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 the whole thing. And welcome to Into the Woods. And people scream. The only time I've seen people scream in a theater like this before a show started was when I saw Wicked in Chicago many, many years ago at like a weekday matinee or something. And every child in the audience screamed when the time dragon moved. And I was like, is this a Beatles concert? Have we been transported back to 1967 or something? Like, what is going on? And that's what it's like at the top of the show. So they're screaming and cheering, and then the curtain goes up, and Jack's mom is one of the people who appears right at the top of the show in tableau. And you stand there on the stage, sometimes for a minute almost, waiting for people to calm down before we can start the show. And that energy, I'd seen it multiple nights watching the show, but being on stage and experiencing it, it's like it's a wall of sound, and the energy is incredibly palpable. So I was like, oh, I thought I was ready for it. I was like, nope, not ready for that. So actually, that was the thing that threw me the most.
What's been the most difficult thing about this production that you're doing for you? What was the most challenging?
I well, a couple of things. One, like staying focused, because during rehearsals you're sitting off to this. We had tables and chairs and the whole area, but we're sitting and watching. And we can stand up and move around and whatnot, but like you're sitting and watching. Then you get in tech, you're sitting and watching, and you're just watching over and over and over again. It's like, how many times do I run that line? How many times do I do this? Oh, they made a change. And you get so anxious trying to write everything down, and then your brain just tunes out, and you're like, yes, you're watching the show. But that, I think, is the hardest. And that's the hard part about going forward with this too, is that, we essentially just sit downstairs, the entire show, unless we're on. But it's such a lovely, lovely group of people in the entire company. Everybody it's a magnanimous and generous and sincere and kind company. And the group of understudies is the same way. We're like a little family. We support each other. When somebody goes on, there's a bottle of champagne and flowers and a card, and we celebrate when somebody goes on for the first time. So that really helps. But, it's the staying focused. That's a hard thing, and then you're like, the pressure to know everything all the time. And yes, we all have to retain a lot of information, but we're human beings. And only so much can go in at a time, and it'll come out when it needs to. But that's also the other struggle. Is like, is it in there? Is it in there? And how much do I, beat myself up over it? Or how much do I drill, and how much do I just let it seep in?
Well,
So
I am sure that, you're flexing muscles that, like untouched muscles, because you haven't maybe been under that kind of pressure, or so
I haven't been on stage, like, other than concerts and cabaret stuff. I haven't done a show since 2018. I've been doing film and TV since then. It was like a bike. I picked it up rather quickly, but it was.
You've been busy. You've been working this whole time. You've been working this whole time.
On and off, I've been working. Yeah. It comes and goes.
Well, yeah, I'm sure it does. But something like this, though, isn't it a nice bankroll for a little bit, or a nice steady?
Certainly is.
Yeah,
it certainly is. It certainly is. And I should be able to get my health insurance through equity. I should be able to get that back.
Yep.
Which I've been a marketplace, which is fine. It's been great. But I was like, the equity insurance I used to have was so great. It was even better. So I'll be able to get that. And I get health and pension, and I accrue paid sick days and 401k, and like vacation days. It's a job.
Yeah, it's actors' dream to have all that, and you've got it right now, and I'm so happy for you. Now,
Thank you. Yeah.
You've been so fortunate to be part of that 54 Below series. Sunday nights, is it Sondheim Sundays? Is that
yeah, Sondheim Unplugged. Sondheim Unplugged.
And I have
Unplugged. That's it.
I have been able to see you in two of those shows. One just recently, where I will say, you brought the house down, sweetie, doing the Mama Rose number, Everything's Coming Up Roses. You brought it down. It was amazing. Now, is that role in your sights somewhere? Are you looking for it?
What do you think?
What
do you think? Yeah.
Someone's got to do it. You need to be heard.
Please.
Need to be heard of that. Tell me how that 54 Below gig started for you and where it's going now for you.
So it originally started at the Laurie Beachman Theater at the West Bank Cafe. And a guy named Phil Jeffrey Bond, who's become a close, wonderful, dear friend, he started the series in 2010, 2011. And I joined it in like July or August of 2011. And I kind of have been doing pretty much every Sunday since then. The last Sunday, it used to be the last Sunday of every month. So I've done most of the shows since then, unless I was out of town or on a gig. We usually don't do July and August. We usually take those off. So it's September through June. So it's usually 10 months out of the year. So I've done quite a few Sondheim Unplugged shows. And then when Phil moved to 54 Below, when that venue opened in like 2013-ish or something, 2012, 2013, he was the director of programming there and original program, and he brought that with him. So it's been at 54 Below since then. And Phil stepped away from programming and stuff at 54 Below several years ago and just produces stuff on his own. He's also an author and a playwright. And now he's been producing on Broadway and stuff. So he has a lot of other interests, and he loves the show and wants to keep it going, but he wants to step back and do some things for himself. So he's entrusting the show to myself and my very good friend, Rob Maitner, who I met through doing Sondheim Unplugged. And Rob is going to host, and I'm going to direct and put everything together. And the two of us are both kind of like going to, be associate producers on it together. Phil will still retain all production and we'll handle all the business stuff and like that. But Rob and I are going to have full creative control starting in October of this year.
Will you be able to still perform, or is that going to be too much?
Sure.
Oh, good.
No, I'll perform.
You'll be
doing. Why the heck not?
No, that show. I mean, you'll be able to be in the Sondheim shows.
Oh yeah, they're Sunday nights. So I will. Our Sunday shows are at 3 for Into the Woods, so I'll be able to just finish and go uptown. But since I'm directing and producing, I need to be there for rehearsals and stuff like that. So for the extension, we were talking about like I've asked for those dates off. Those dates I'm going to get those days off so I can, keep my duties at Sondheim Unplugged and still keep my duties at Into the Woods. So that's something we're all negotiating and stuff.
Tell us all about what that evening is. It's not the same show every month.
It's not the same show every month. No.
How is that put together?
Phil, it's basically like he asks people to come and perform, and there's always an original cast member there as part of the show.
That's right.
So we've had Sarah Rice from Sweeney Todd, we've had Len Cariou, we've had Chip Zien, we've had Jim Walton, a whole bunch of people. And we always have at least one original Sondheim cast member at the show, and then a myriad of other singers, and everybody comes and sings one or two songs. And then based on if Phil has specific shows he wants to talk about that month, he can pick material around that, or sometimes he decides what we're going to do based on what each individual person brings to the table. I sing Maria, I sing this, and then we do West Side and Whistle and whatever. And then over the years, he's cultivated all this dialogue and, spills the tea respectfully, and all these little tidbits about the shows, about certain people in the shows, about how things were created, awards, all sorts of information.
It's a good recap of how things are, and then there's pictures and
he does like slideshows and stuff, so you can see photos of people when they did first. Yeah, it's really lovely, and if you're a Sondheim buff, you're just like about it. If you're a Sondheim, newbie, it's very interesting and accessible, and feels very entertaining, and so is Rob. Yeah. You and Rob would be such fast friends. It's not even funny. But he reminds me of you in a lot of ways.
I'm happy to
But
fill in whenever you need me to.
yeah,
I will
yeah,
be
we'll
there.
let you know.
I'll
We'll let
be
you know.
there.
Phil's got first dibs on that. But after Phil,
Okay.
we'll see what we can do. We'll see what we can
Hey,
do, KMC.
what can I say?
But yeah,
And so that's gonna you're in a new position with that in October.
yeah,
Now,
yeah,
do you think In
yeah.
the Woods is
September is
still?
Phil's last show. It'll be the 100th show. It'll be the 100th Sondheim
Oh,
Unplugged.
well,
And so that'll be his last show is September.
will Into the Woods be still going on then? Do you hope? I mean,
Uh, right now we're extended through October 16th.
wow.
So, you know, who knows?
Any
We shall see.
uh so it's done well. I mean, it's done. Is it sold
It's
out all
done
the time?
remarkably well.
Yeah,
Often,
that's awesome. That's
often.
awesome.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so then you're very busy right now. I love hearing that you're so busy. And
Yeah, it's not like, it's after 2.5 years of not having anywhere to go and not being able to be or go anywhere because of a pandemic. It's nice to have an objective
yeah,
other than things in my home. It's nice to be with people. It's nice to create. It's nice to be a part of something. It's nice to be employed.
yeah.
Um, and it's getting used to a new schedule. I haven't been on the theater schedule for a while, so
Hey,
like, oh yeah,
are
I'm
you
busy every night now. Oh,
are you teaching still? And are you working like that too?
no, I'm not teaching anywhere in particular. I do private coaching and stuff, so
Coaching?
audition coaching and book coaching and stuff like that. So, been some of my clients have been coming back now that things are popping back up and
Yeah.
more stuff is happening. Sometimes I teach my own thing, but I haven't done that in quite some time. And maybe we'll see. I got to get into the swing of things. We'll see. I might just chill out for the next, 8-10 weeks of this run and just
Can't
enjoy
blame
it
you.
and not
Can't blame
overload
you.
myself. But
I can't
yeah.
blame you. Now, have you seen a lot of shows on Broadway right now? Have you seen them all or nope, nothing?
No, I really didn't want to be in an enclosed space with people breathing and screaming and stuff. I did say at the end of 2021, I was like, the only show I will see this year is Moulin Rouge because I had a couple friends in it, and I thought when that comes back, I will definitely see that because if I wait again and there's another pandemic or they leave the show before I can see it, I would uh, kick myself. So I was able to see Moulin Rouge the night before the Tonys, which was super great. And then I saw Music Man and I saw Mr. Saturday Night
Oh,
and I saw an off-Broadway show, a new show, which, geez, I can't remember the name. But that's pretty much it. That's all I've seen and done. Because now that because I wanted to be careful. And then also with film and TV stuff, that happens so quickly. So if I got a job and then I showed up on set or showed up to my, wardrobe and I tested positive for COVID, I wouldn't be able to work.
yeah.
And if I test positive for COVID now, I won't be able to work, which, at some point in time, we're all going to get it. It is inevitable. I'm vaccinated. I'm boosted. I'm, living my life in the best, healthy ways possible. But, I try to limit my exposure whenever possible. So, but we do have Sunday nights off now. So, the few shows that have Sunday nights, I'll be able to maybe catch some of those going forward. So that'll be nice.
Well, that's great.
But I haven't seen too much.
So what about have you been back home? How's mom? We love mom. She's just adorable.
I know
Mama
she
Spina.
is.
I love her.
Mama Spina. I'm sure she'll be watching this. Hi,
Well, I
Mom.
hope so.
Zuh. Um, I have not been home since I left her house on Christmas Day of 2019, and I haven't left the city since then because pandemic. I went to Connecticut for a day and upstate New York for a few days to shoot some TV and a film. But other than that, I have not left
Yeah.
New York.
Yeah.
I went to a dear friend's wedding this weekend, also in New York. But at least it was like 2.5 hours away. So it really felt like I left.
But you were going somewhere, right?
Yeah, I was going somewhere.
With the predicament you're in as far as performing, you don't have like where you can say, "Hey, mom, come out here. I'm going to be on," type thing. I mean, you don't have that much.
I don't have at this point. I don't have any advanced dates. So
Yeah.
anything, all the people I cover don't have any specific dates. But perhaps with the new extension and contract negotiations, maybe people will have dates off, and maybe I'll have some advanced dates where mom or other people could come in and plan ahead. But other than that, it's like, here we go.
Yeah.
Sending a text or a Facebook post or something.
Right.
And yeah, so
like our friend John Shue got to see you. Is that just by chance?
I didn't even know John was in town. Yeah, he had gotten tickets to the I don't know. I assume Shue had tickets to the show beforehand because he had front row center. He's out here quite often for work. But I don't think he came to the show to see me. I think it was a surprise that I was on. I think he got to the theater and saw my name.
So you didn't even know he was there till after the fact.
I didn't know he was there until after he posted on Facebook, and he tagged me and people started responding to it. I was like, you were there. So that was fun. So we saw the very first time I went on for Stepmother in ill-fitting shoes. But yes.
The stories.
Yeah, it was.
Well, sweetie, I have loved catching up with you, and
you too.
It's been very fortunate that even through all these troubled years and stuff, I've been able to still get to New York and to see you every time I get in there, because there's always a wonderful time with Luch, and you always introduce me to some of your greatest. You have some great friends and a lot of cuties, I say, and they just nice people, and I'm so happy and proud of you. Please let me tell you from the bottom of my heart that this is something that you went for, and you're doing it, and you're living it. I think the fact that you are living that dream for me is just so inspirational, and can't wait to ever hear what's next for you. But I want to tell everybody, if you're in New York and you are there when 54 Below does those Sondheim shows, get in there and see it. It's wonderful. And of course, this beautiful lady here is amazing talent. So I'm so glad to hear you're moving up there too. Pretty soon you'll be running the place. I love that. I love it. And KMC,
don't think so. But
KMC is hoping that I can go to Lucia's Below 54 Lucia. So it would be
that sounds a little dirty.
Yeah, it does actually. I'm thinking about now really mounting that show. Oops. Okay, you know what I mean.
Mounting? What? Well, maybe we'll bring 54 Below to Palm Springs.
Hey.
I mean, maybe not. I mean, Sondheim Unplugged. Maybe we'll bring Sondheim Unplugged to Palm Springs.
There's a couple venues that would be very well received at here. It's hotter than.
Well, maybe we'll have to chit chat.
Okay. Well,
yes, I hear.
I would love it. It'd be so great to bring some good New York talent in for a little bit and get a taste of Broadway in our own backyard. And there are some Sondheim originals out here. I know.
Yes, I hear.
Yeah.
Is Terry raw? Is Terry? Yeah, I love Terry. I think Terry's out in Palm Springs, and there's other people who found, and it would be fun.
We're very lucky here in Palm Springs. And I tell you, coming from Chicago, where we, obviously we grew up, I'll take the heat over the cold and snow anytime. So,
really?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
You don't miss the seasons? You don't miss like falling leaves and crisp air and
falling leaves lasts about what? A day, a week? I don't know.
Well, global warming, everything changes. Yes, but yeah. Mm-hmm.
I stay inside in a nice, 72 degree air conditioned home, or I go to the pool. So there's a good balance for me. But the no depression, no anxiety, but everyday sunshine, it really makes a difference, and it really is. I love it. I'm glad I did it when I did. It's been 9 years now that we've lived permanently.
Oh my God, it's been 9 years.
It's going to be 9 years. Yeah, it's crazy. And
wow.
We love it. We love it. So, but I don't get back home as much as I'd like. But
Same.
people come out and visit. People come out and visit. You need to come out here at some point when you're not so busy.
At some point I will. This weekend for my friend's wedding was literally the first like vacation I've had since other, I'm not counting going home for holidays and things like that, but that's the first vacation I've had since 2015.
Well,
so
we
I got
are
to work on that
we're-
vacation thing.
We're doing a trip back to Chicago, and then we're driving up to Wisconsin for Marky's wedding. Your little
I know Mark is getting married.
Yeah,
So
this is
crazy.
this is where one of Lucia's
Little Mark, whose diaper I changed.
she watched him, and we're gonna go. So we'll let you know how that was. So
Yeah.
that's a big shout out to our
Yeah.
friend
Well,
Mel and Emily.
I'm
and Mark.
I'll, tickled is the first word that came to my mouth, but like it's really, it makes me, I'm so touched and so happy that we've all kept in touch, and that when you guys are here, you see me and come see me perform. And I know about you guys because of Beth Murphy. That's the only reason I would have auditioned for Tempo Players, is because of her. And like through her and through Godspell, I met all you guys, and just some of my favorite performers ever. Seriously.
Absolutely.
And some of the most fun and best productions I've ever been a part of have been in community theater. And the way that you guys, so many of you have kept in touch and have supported me, and it's really special. And I was so tickled that you were able to come to Sondheim Unplugged again, and that this last time I was able to sing Mama Rose, because that's been on my list forever. And then to have Verna there while I was doing Everything's Coming Up Roses it was really, really special. Yeah. Bruce, it's not about you.
Yeah,
this is why it's the whole time.
How's Brucey doing? Oh, what a doll.
Bruce is doing good. Bruce has got 2 braces, as you've seen, on his back legs that help him rock. He's getting orthoses for his front legs tomorrow. So he'll be full on bionic Bruce. Well, they have like an exoskeleton on his limbs.
He's going to be bionic. It's beautiful. We love it.
Yeah.
Luch, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. And I know it's busy. Are you off today? Is that today actually an off day that we're filming?
Today is an off day. Okay. So I get to put my life back together and check things off the list and clean things up and put things away that I hid for my friend who was watching Bruce. My apartment looked perfect from the outside, but underneath. So that's on the docket today. And then, tomorrow I got the day off, and then tomorrow night back on the boards, back into the fray.
That's awesome.
Back at the Broadway.
Well, thanks for taking time for me today. You know how much I love you. And I wanted everyone to know that one of my dear friends here is currently on the boards. And it's fun. If you guys are in New York, if you get a chance to see Into the Woods, go see it. Possibly Luch will be on. And if we know those dates ahead of time, we can let people know that too.
Yeah.
A lot of people going in.
It's a remarkable production. It's very simple. The orchestra is on stage. It's fully staged and costumed and everything. And, but like, there's not a ton of bells and whistles. The bells and whistles is the material. Of course. It's so rich. Every night you hear something different, and it's never gone out of style. It's still super relevant. Yeah. The first time it came out, we were going through the AIDS crisis. The next revival, we had 9/11, and now we're in a post-pandemic world and everything else. Like the giant, there's always a giant. There's always giants. There's always
unfortunately
wolves.
You're right.
Yeah, but we all prevail, and the show is it's very affirming. So if you're in the city, please come see it.
That's great. Everyone, if you get a chance, go there. If not, and you're there on a Sunday night, last Sunday of the month, I believe, right? Right?
Usually, check the schedule at 54 Below for Sondheim Unplugged. Our dates vary now, but
it's a wonderful.
It's once a month,
and it's very entertaining. Food is good, drinks are good, the entertainment's outstanding. So if you get a chance to see that, Luch, thank you so much again, sweetie, for joining. And I hope my friends have gotten an opportunity to meet my dear friend who I just love and adore. So thanks, Lucia. We'll see you later.
Thank you.
I love you.
Bye, honey.
Bye, honey.
Love you too. Bye.